So I go stand-up paddleboarding with my family last week, and we had my daughter with us, obviously because I'm going with my family. So she's 11, my son's 8, and my wife, I won't tell you how old she is because she'd kill me with the number of people that listen to this show. But we're all renting stand-up paddleboards on the North Shore of Lake Tahoe, and we're out there paddling, and what we were doing was we were paddling along Lakeshore Drive. You're in the lake and you look up and it's beautiful to your right. There are all of these mansions that are like billionaires live there, or tens of millionaires. Billionaires is the other way on the lake. But it's like there's these just amazing houses, awesome boats, and we're paddling through the water, which is super clear. You can see to the bottom when you're about 50 feet deep, and it's just this awesome, awesome experience. But we hear this complaining behind us from our 11-year-old daughter. My son, he's on his knees most of the time when he's paddling because there's some boat shop and stuff like that, but he's keeping up with my wife and I. Our daughter is way behind us. And I look back there, and she's not paddling very hard at all. Like her oar is hardly even getting into the water where she's not digging in to go forward. And she's sulking when she's back there, which drives me insane. And she's like, I'm just not good at this. Because we're like, are you not having fun? Like, are you not, because she's complaining the whole time. No, I'm just not good at this. But the thing is, she did 3 miles on a stand-up paddleboard in some pretty heavy boat shop, and she stood up the entire time. Now, here's the lesson in this, guys. And I'm going to get to it right away because I want to talk a lot about this. And the lesson is you're always doing something right. You're always doing something right. Now, no matter how fucked up you perceive something to be going, you are always doing something right. The thing about it is you have to be able to reframe your experience to figure out what the positive thing in this was. So my daughter needed to see that she did go 3 miles and that she was standing up through some pretty heavy boat shop as it relates to how you may be looking at success and the struggles that you're having to get to where you want to go. Really, you've got to picture success like a ladder. So picture it like an extension ladder where you've got 2 different sides of the ladder and you've got rungs in the middle of the ladder. And the rungs represent the skills that you've acquired. You can only climb as high on the ladder as you've built the skills necessary to go there. You've got to acquire all of the skills in order to make it to the top of the ladder. And the top of the ladder is whatever version of success is there for you. If that's private jets and 5 houses and Lamborghinis, then that's what that is. If that is just a normal house and normal cars and normal vacations, then that's where the top of the ladder is for you right now. I'm not so interested about that where it is for you. It's just picture the number of rungs that you've got to climb as the skills in order to get to this ladder that you want. So my daughter had acquired a couple of the skills that she needed. She had acquired balance, which is one of the skills you need to be on a stand-up paddleboard in a lake where there's boats. She also acquired endurance by going 3 miles. She'd acquired those skills, but she didn't have the skill of digging her paddle into the water to go faster. She still also struggled a little bit with turning around. There's a number of different skills that she's got to acquire in order to have the level of success that she kind of envisioned herself doing. She was pissed that she wasn't on top of the ladder. That's really what it came down to when I was talking to her on the beach once we got back in. She was upset with herself because she wasn't on top of the ladder. How interesting is that? The interesting part is that there was no reason for her to ever think that she could have been on top of the ladder right then from her skill set. She'd just gotten on a stand-up paddleboard 5 days earlier for the very first time in her life. So how does this relate to you guys? How does this relate to you? I see so many people struggle to make progress toward your goals that you feel like nothing's going right. And I know I've experienced this myself. So chances are there's somebody that's listening, somebody that's watching, that is in a spot where they feel like nothing is going right. Everything that they do, it's like every step they take is wrong. Everything, even though they think it's right, ends up being wrong. But the truth is, something is going right. You're either acquiring a skill through your success, or you are acquiring a lesson through your failure. But either way, you get to take another step up the ladder. You get another ring earned every time you've got either a lesson or a new skill acquired. because the lesson allows you to acquire skills at a much more rapid pace than you would in any other way, right? I look at my failures, and those have produced the highest level skills that I have because, one, they were painful. It wasn't something that I could just kind of like push off to the side. It was something that was visceral, and I felt it. And it was embarrassing, and that is why I have the skills that I have today. It was the failure of that clothing company I talk about so much on this show because it was such an expensive, painful experience that led me to the level of marketing skill, of sales skill, of product creation skill that I have right now. I wouldn't have had those things because I had to do it wrong. I had to fuck it up in order to get it right. And what that did was allow me to climb the ladder that much faster next time because the lesson helped me figure out what skill was necessary to acquire to get to the top of the ladder that I was trying to get to at the time. So when it happens this way, the big deal is that you've got to reframe what you're experiencing right now in order to look at it as acquiring a skill or learning a lesson, no matter how frustrated you are. And I recognize it's easy for me to say that. It's hard to get. It's hard to get because when you're in that moment and it feels like nothing's right, you want to give up. You want to walk away from it. And I get that. And I empathize with that. But if you can reframe it into the positive, then I promise you, you are going to get to the top of the ladder. The next thing that needs to be reframed inside of all this is your expectations of how long it takes to get to the top of the ladder. And I'm saying that not from a judgment standpoint, I'm saying that from an experience standpoint. Because I'm wondering, when I was first into it, and I'll go back to the clothing company, when I was first into it, I was like 3 weeks in and I'm going like, why are we not sold out? Like, why is all of our stuff not flying off the shelves, which were storage racks in my garage? Why is this not happening? I had a terrible expectation of how fast the result was going to come because I didn't yet understand that I hadn't acquired all the skills that I needed to acquire. I hadn't learned all the lessons I needed to, but I still expected success to happen for me instantly. And of course, it didn't. You've got to acquire one skill, and then you acquire the next skill after that, and then you fail and you get a lesson that helps you build the next skill that you need to do. It took me 6 years of being absolutely obsessed with developing the skills of creating offers, of marketing, of sales, of operations, creating processes, systems, the people that go inside of that, but most importantly, the optical systems that allow me to watch it all. It took me 6 years of being absolutely obsessed. This is all I did for 6 years. And it took me that long to get to where I am, which may sound like a long time to you. It may sound like a short time to some of you. I'm not debating if that is a long or short period of time. What I am telling you, though, is that my expectation was that it was going to be 3 weeks, not 6 years. So reframe the expectation of what is success for you today, which is just the next rung of the ladder, not the 25 rungs that you look up at the top of the ladder and you've got to figure out where you're going to climb. It's about what you can do to get the next rung of the ladder and what has to happen today that gives you that next rung that much sooner. So what do I want you guys to do in this? You hear the message, you hear what my experience was like in it. Now it's time for you to go do something with this. And this is probably one of the most valuable exercises that you can do inside of a 30-minute window. And that's simply this. Take inventory of all the skills that you know for certain you have. Now, how could you tell that you have a skill for certain? That you've got one, experience with it, but two, you've got a result with this skill. So don't lie to yourself and say that you've got sales skills on lockdown if you haven't sold before. Even if you've sold like $500,000 or $1 million of a product, I'm still going to have you consider you do not have the skill of sales locked down. It is going to require that much more. I wouldn't even say that I have the skill of sales completely locked down. Certainly far ahead, but I don't have it locked down. So take inventory of the skills that you know that you have got results with and you've got experience with and things that have just worked. Second part of it is to make a list of the skills that you feel like you need to acquire to get to the top of the ladder and simply start acquiring those skills. Look for opportunities to either learn a lesson or to try to have success with something that you're working on, and you will build the rungs and you will get to the top of the ladder. Just recognize it's going to take a little bit longer than you might even think. All right, guys, that's it. That's the show for the day, everybody. As always, thank you guys for being here on the show with me. I hope you do something with that. Do take inventory of your skills. Also, if you have not yet, share the show with somebody. If there's somebody you know that is frustrated right now, they keep on trying stuff and they're telling you that it's just not working and they want to give up, send them this show. All you got to do is hit the little share link and you can text it to them. They'll be able to listen to it right there. Hopefully this message will help somebody else in addition to helping you. All right, guys, that's it. That's the show for the day, everybody. I'm going to do my job and come back next time. I want you to do your job and you come back too.